if you make your own movies and you can distribute your own shit and you're able to leverage your own celebrity, like if he makes a movie tomorrow, people still going.
But I think about Jonathan Majors, in terms of how Hollywood can remind you that they're in control to a degree, because for many, what he did or what he's been accused of was wrong.
Who? Who you talking about?
Jonathan Majors, the actor. He was in all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of, what he did or what he's been accused of, it was wrong to put your hands on a woman. We know that. My perspective of it was, it seemed like they held him up, but so quickly to kind of, take him out the scene or remove him. Is Hollywood built that way to kind of like, is that not our plantation or not our place? Everything's
built that way. Certain people are uncancelable because they make their own product. They're not, waiting to be hired. Mm-hmm. So if you put yourself in a position that someone else could turn your lights out, then, you're living on eggshells.
Yeah.
But, if you make your own movies and you can distribute your own shit and you're able to leverage your own celebrity, like if he makes a movie tomorrow, people still going. You think they're not?
I think maybe a percentage, but people.
But if he makes his own movies, all he needs is a percentage. I bet he'd make more doing it himself than being paid a salary for what he just did.
Copy, you mean him independently going?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a crowd and there's enough that will sustain.
He has enough. He's what I would do is say, all right, now that I got to be at the biggest high level of pop culture, people are going to want to just come just to see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Then, like, the minute Kanye comes out with clothes, people buying that shit.
Right.
Nobody's stopping buying none of it. Nobody's listening to none of that shit. It's just corporate has to do it because, they have to be worried about public opinion. But people aren't that worried about what you think they're worried about.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, if you're in a position to be hired or fired, like you got to look at what happens to people. Oh, so what? They took your deal. That don't mean you can't work.
Right.
But if you're dependent on somebody, you got a problem. But if you can make your own, then what you got to worry about?
That seems to be the real form of cancellation, if you allow them to cancel you.
Right.
So
like I've seen people say, fuck you, cancel me, and keep doing what they're doing. Now, if someone could fire them, then yeah, that's cancel. Cancel is fired. You got yourself fired.
Right.
That's what cancel means. Now you can get fired.
Right.
But for independence, that doesn't.
So you do believe Ye will probably bounce back?
He could come back whenever he feels like it. It's on him.
Yeah.
Anytime he wants, he could come back.
Yeah.
He might not get a deal with corporate, but if he does his own shit, his shit gonna go, which is where he should have started in the first place.
Yeah, he was learning, going through it.
He had to learn, not the hard way, but his process is his process.
Right. I did an interview recently where I see you as like an example, a blueprint of a black entrepreneur, or just an entrepreneur. We don't have to even put necessarily a black label on it. But my stance was, I did feel that there was too many black entrepreneurs and not enough black corporations. What are your thoughts on just that perspective? Because as a company owner, I find that sometimes too many of us want to do our own thing instead of uniting and getting behind one forefront, so that maybe one day we can retire from these things. I don't see a lot of black corporations retiring our own people. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, corporation means cooperation. It means everyone has to stick together that's on the same sheet of paper instead of, fighting for the plug and, looking at it as a competitive thing. And that's how other cultures function. But what I want people to be clear about me is I'm a little different than the average entrepreneur because I'm highly creative. And I like the creative process. So an entrepreneur can find a company in distress, buy it, bleed it out, liquidate it, and license it. And it could be a creative company, but they didn't do anything creative. They'll hire a creative agency to give them a look and so on and so forth. But some of these people that you meet that own these companies are fucking nerds. Really, really corny. Yeah. And I actually enjoy the creative process. Yeah. I like to make the movie. Yeah. I like to edit the movie. I like to make the clothes. I like to make the music. I have a point of view. Yeah. I like the creative process, but the businessman in me protects my creative process. Before, I was known for protecting other people's creative process.
Right.
Now, I'm creating mine. So like where you at now, this ain't a studio, this is my office. Because I need to be able to do all these different things because that's what I do. There is a time for business, but there's a time to make music. There's a time to shoot. There's a time to design.
Right.
I'm doing all of those things firsthand because I enjoy it.
Right.
Because the product that I actually make is not is not someone else's. I don't like to buy someone else's. I'm the founder of my point of view, and I'm making sure the DNA of that is always going to be preserved.
Right.
So you have to be a monster at creativity as well as at business when you want to do both, and that's me. I like to do both.
Yeah. Even hearing that, it's like, it seems that there's what's the percentage of the artist versus the businessman?
For me right now,
Yeah.
artist 85%.
Wow.
If it was business, I have way more money.
Right. Is that kind of like what you think the difference is when you see, is that what the difference is with these other brothers that have kind of started in your lane and they go and do these mega deals? You think they're more so choosing the business over the art?
I don't see any other brothers that started in my lane doing that. I see like rappers and entertainers doing that.
Okay.
But I started as a businessman. So I think I'm like the first businessman that's been able to be so creative in business that it's made me actually so famous that I could leverage it on my own products. Mm-hmm. But I don't really, I always look at somebody that tells somebody how to be rich that's not, or the only way they've been rich is by actually telling people.
Right.
That's not, to me, that's not helpful
Does it
to
feel
me.
like a con maybe?
Always.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, if I'm gonna teach you something, it's gonna be about what I've actually done and been successful at. And I can tell you firsthand, this is one way I did it, and I might have liked it or not, and this is another way I did it, and I might have liked it or not. And you can choose based on my experience.
Right.
But it's always been funny to me to see like people making money off telling people how to make money, but they never made money at any
It's a
particular
whole
business.
industry for it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
the sheep kind of follow in line.
100%.
Respectfully.
There's different kinds of business.
Yeah.
Like in the fashion business, you could be a brand, and that's one fashion, and sell it and do it. Or you can own a factory and own brands for market share, but you own that factory. But,
Right.
we don't talk about owning factories, but
Right.
that's real fashion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Distribution.
And that as well, distribution, making it, all of that.
Yeah. I think another obstacle, and this is just, seeing your journey, you kind of giving me a perspective of what mine may be one day, is that as a black man, maybe if you were a white man, would things be even more amplified to what you've been doing?
I just think what I'm doing is like, it's like on some Andy Warhol shit, but Steve Jobs at the same time. You know what I mean?
That's a lot going up here, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't see nobody else trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like some people just want to be rich.
Yeah.
Like the only person I saw getting anywhere near that is Kanye, but it imbalances him.
Yeah.
Trying to like stand up for an artist and make a lot of money. And with corporate is like an oxymoron, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to compromise.
Yeah.
And I won't fold, I won't bend, and it could be to default, but I'm enjoying my life
Yeah.
and the time I can spend with my children. I just like to be in the driver's seat of my destiny. I don't care about nobody else's, but I got to be able to control my time.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with other people, I have to move when they move,
Yeah.
And I'm not hustling for bread. I'm hustling for the amount of love and the time I can spend with the people I love. And, I want to do that in luxury, of course. But if I have to like make money by not being around my family, then I think that's a loss within itself.